You've probably heard the name Sanford Weill, or maybe you've heard Sandy Weill to his friends. Sandy Weill is to Wall Street bankers what, say, Jerry Seinfeld is to sitcoms or Tony Bennett is to crooners. Even if you don't pay much attention, he's the one you've probably heard of. Sandy Weill used to run Citibank. He got really rich doing it. And today on CNBC, Sandy Weill said that the United States government should break up the big banks. You know, the big banks like Citi, which he ran. Imagine Jerry Seinfeld saying there should be no more primetime sitcoms, or Tony Bennett saying no more crooning. That's what Sandy Weill suggested today. Which leads us right into tonight's Ezra Klein Challenge, where I try to explain complicated stuff, especially in the economy, that seems at first glance a little mystifying. Tonight, what the heck they are talking about when they talk about breaking up the big banks. Everyone says it, Weill says it, everyone hears it, but it doesn't often get explained. So what is breaking up the big banks? How would they do it? And why would we want to? May I have my 2 minutes, please? Okay. There it is. Ready, set. You have heard of all of the big banks: JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, Wells Fargo. These names are big, and it means they have as assets a really big percentage of our gross domestic product, trillions and trillions of dollars. But what we're worried about here isn't just that they're big. It is that they're too big, that they are too big to fail, to be precise. When we say a bank is too big to fail, we mean it's got so much money and so many debts to other banks and investors that its failure could bring down other parts of the financial system as well. That is what happened when Lehman and AIG began to go down. When they went down, they owed so much money to everyone else that the very fact of their failure made other banks fail. Banks that were fine the day before were not fine the day after. And here's the thing. The banks are even bigger today than they were then, than they were before the crisis. This graph from Bloomberg Businessweek tells a story. In 2006, the 5 biggest banks had $6 trillion in assets. Today, they have $8.5 trillion. That's more than half what the entire U.S. economy produces in a single year. So when folks say they want to break up the big banks, it is because they believe that a series of smaller banks would be able to fail without threatening everyone else. Now, there are a couple of different ways we could actually go about doing that. The government could, for instance, tax the hell out of any bank that is bigger than we wanted it to be. No bank would want to pay such a tax, so no bank could really profitably allow itself to be so big. But then we would have a bunch of smaller banks. The problem there is that even smaller banks can still be too interconnected to fail. They can have so many trading partners and so many bets and so much leverage, financial system can't handle their fall. And then, of course, there's a problem of global banks, which can be huge and can go down. In other words, breaking up the banks, which are called too big to fail, may or may not solve the problem, because a problem isn't so much a too big part, it is the fail part. The challenge is how to keep any of them from failing at all, at least in a way that hurts us. 3 seconds left. Ta-da.